The life of Doflamingo. What happens when you take a child with an exceptionally rough personality and put them through some of the worst tragedies possible? Well, you get an incredibly arrogant, prideful and carefree person with a penchant for violence and few, if any, boundaries. To be more precise, you get Donquixote Doflamingo, a tyrant known by many names, the Heavenly Yaksha, captain of the Donquixote Pirates, Joker, the underworld broker. With a bounty of 340 million berry, Doflamingo is easily one of the most memorable bad guys in One Piece, and we're gonna dive into just what makes him so goddamn compelling. For starters, Doflamingo has the ability to use Haoshoku haki, otherwise known as Conqueror's haki, and with that he's amassed this amazing team of Virgo, Treble, Pika and Diamante, who were all impressed by his amazing skills, by the way. Treble would believe him to be the heaven's chosen and grant him the Ito Ito no Mi and a pistol to exact revenge on his tormentors. Now, the Ito Ito no Mi, or should I say the string devil fruit, gives Doflamingo the ability to create extremely strong and ridiculously durable, damn near unbreakable strings from his body, which he uses to do a stupid amount of things. I mean, he can freaking fly with these strings. Well, not exactly flying. He attaches them to the clouds and moves so fast. He also uses them to make cages which can trap people, and he can attach them to people and basically puppeteer them. He kind of uses all the time to just screw with people, and some very nefarious means as well. The power output of these strings, on the other hand, absolutely nuts. He can super hit them and just rip people apart, and he can use them to like strengthen his body and sew his organs together, which he did in the middle of one of the most intense battles in all of One Piece. But let me not get ahead of myself here. Let's start with Donquixote Doflamingo's childhood. See, Dofi was the first child of the Donquixote family, one of the 20 royal families comprising the world government. To put it simply, it's amazing anyone could hear a word he was saying, considering the size of the silver spoon in his mouth. But unfortunately for the Donquixote family, this luxury wouldn't last. When Doflamingo was just 8 years old, his father Homin would renounce his title as a world royal, choosing to live a very normal, very ordinary life where they would handle all their affairs themselves without the luxury of butlers, helps or slaves, literal slaves. He would move on to an unknown northern island with his wife and 2 children in tow. So here's the thing, the royals in One Piece aren't exactly loved. So imagine how the locals felt when a bunch of former royalty moved into town hoping to be treated just like everyone else. Yeah, you guessed it. Things went south very quickly. The locals burned down the Donquixote mansion and drove the family into a decrepit shack surrounded by filth. Doflamingo and his little brother Rosinante were forced to eat out of garbage cans from sheer starvation and desperation. This is where Dofi's true hatred for his father peaked. You're probably thinking, why live like this? Just go ask your uber rich friends to help. Yeah, there's a reason nobody likes these royals. It's cause they suck so hard. Homing, after realizing that life isn't fun on the outside when you're a former royal, being haunted by literally everyone that could hold a weapon, begged and pleaded to be let back into Mary Joyce, only to be refused and left to suffer. And Doflamingo, he had all of this, further spurring the burning hatred he had inside for his father. But things were only going to get worse from here. Doflamingo's mother will die soon after, succumbing to illness from their unhealthy living conditions. And the locals weren't done with them yet. No. They found where the Donquixotes lived and lynched them. They beat them, they hanged them. Although the family of 3 did survive miraculously, this was a core memory for Doflamingo, and he swore to kill everybody. Something that horrified his own family as much as it did the locals. From then on, Doflamingo would firmly placed the blame for all their sufferings on his father. I mean, he wasn't technically wrong about that. Doflamingo, at just 10 years old, began his quest to regain his world noble title. To do that, he killed his own father in front of his little brother Rosinante, returning to Merijoyce with Homin's head, only to still be refused by the world nobles. Told you, they suck. Apparently, he was from a family of traitors, and killing your own dad isn't a great look. Enraged, Doflamingo swore some more revenge and escaped Merijoyce with knowledge of the nobles' national treasure, intending to blackmail them in the future. After returning to the North Blue, the others would elect Doflamingo as their leader and swear to make him the next pirate king. Ascent to piracy. Doflamingo, now 24 years old, would reunite with his brother Rosinante, who'd been missing for 14 years and was now mute for some reason. He would go on to get the title of Corazon, becoming Doflamingo's right-hand man. A year later, Doflamingo would meet a 10-year-old Trafalgar Law, and in a stupidly daring and brave display, Law got Doflamingo to consider letting him join his crew. It turns out that Law suffered from a terminal illness called amber-lead syndrome, and all he needed was a particular devil fruit to fix it. Apparently, Doflamingo has, or I suppose had, a soft side, as he would go on to teach Law all about fighting. Sometime later, Law and Rosinante would suddenly leave the crew, claiming they were off to find a cure for Law. 6 months later though, Doflamingo would learn that his brother was in fact a filthy rat. I mean a snitch. I mean a marine informant. So Doflamingo, being the ruthless bastard that he is, would confront his little brother and shoot more holes in him than Swiss cheese, then leave. Oh, but that was just the start of Doflamingo's dastardly deeds. Here are a couple of his more political devilry. At the age of 31, Doflamingo actually put his plan into action and started building his reputation by stealing from the world nobles and blackmailing the world government. Through this, he'd secure himself as one of the 7 warlords. These are basically pirates that are allied with the world government, pretty much government-sanctioned criminals. He took over Dressrosa Island by destroying the faith in their king, Riku Doldo III, making Doldo look like the bad guy and his crew the saviors of the island. It was a whole, frankly, Machiavellian scheme, a little bit too intricate to get into, but let me put it simply. Doflamingo basically ruined Doldo's life. He controlled Doldo using his devil fruit strings, making the king massacre his own people while he wailed openly. He also controlled the soldiers to attack the civilians, and then he saved them from Doldo, then proceeded to blame him publicly for the country's poverty, promising them prosperity, thus successfully taking over the island of Dressrosa. Like the noble, he's always been. Now that's evil and all, but holy crap, is that genius. As you can imagine, Doflamingo was no benevolent leader either. During his reign, Doflamingo used his subordinate, Sugar. He used her power to turn his detractors into living dolls, which would make all those that know them to absolutely forget that they ever existed. On top of that, he promoted segregation, literal segregation among people, and said the dolls and the humans are to be treated differently. The evil thing Doflamingo ever did, or should I say the most evil thing Doflamingo ever did, was probably his SAD and Smile project. SAD being a unique substance needed to create smiles, which are artificial devil fruits meant to create an army of Zoan type users. Believe me, I can't even get started on these artificial devil fruits, but we're gonna make a video on that soon, so remember to smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell, because you're not gonna want to miss this one. What was the main ingredient in these artificial devil fruits, by the way? Children's misery. Just kidding. He did have to kidnap a bunch of children though and run some heinous experiments on them. Of course, Luffy and his crew went about the business of being heroes and destroyed Doflamingo's smile factories, taking down Sugar thereby breaking her curse, which turned the badly treated doll people back into humans again. All this would lead to his climactic battle with the man that will become the Pirate King, Monkey D. Luffy. The battle. After an intense confrontation with Luffy, Doflamingo would activate his birdcage, a technique that spreads his strings all around the island to trap everyone inside. He'd also activate the parasite ability, the one he used to perpetrate Dodo's fall from grace all those years ago. Now, at this point, Doflamingo went scorched earth. He announced to everyone on the island that the birdcage would contract and kill everyone inside, unless one of two things happened. They had to either kill him or they had to kill the Straw Hats and some other people he had a bone to pick with. Doflamingo would be confronted by Luffy and Law, ready to bring him down once and for all. But even he wasn't ready for the awesome powerhouse that is the captain of the Straw Hat crew. Both fighters were exuding Haosoku haki and pushed their devil fruits to their absolute peak. Doflamingo revealed the true power of his devil fruits by awakening, which for particular devil fruit users called Paramethia, it gives them the ability to turn the entire environment basically into a subsect of their fruit, which for Doflamingo meant transforming the very buildings around him into strings to attack Luffy with. While Luffy, on the other hand, activated Gear 4 Pound Man. All of Doflamingo's excitement over finally facing Luffy's true power would disappear once he saw Gear 4. Thinking it was a dud though because of how it looked a little bit silly, he'd mock Luffy, only to be shocked silent once Luffy smacked him straight through town with a single punch. The bigger they are, the harder they punch apparently. Using Gomu Gomu no Leo Bazooka, he blew Doflamingo into the Palace Mountain, which caused Doffy a great deal of pain, I can imagine. Now, you have to understand that even while Doflamingo was in a battle to the death, this guy is so strong that he was still shrinking the birdcage in such a powerful way that the combined strength of Zoro, samurais, warriors, and even an admiral could only stop it for a second before it continued to shrink. What the hell? As the battle continued to heat up, Doffy kept using his awakened fruit to absolutely attack Luffy, but none of it was landing. Luffy, on the other hand, he was laughing. He was landing some powerful hits, let me tell you. One particularly thunderous attack sent Doflamingo flying into a mountain again. But just as he was about to finish Doffy off once and for all, he ran out of Gear 4. He lost his form and desperately needed to rest for about 10 minutes to regain his haki, or he would simply be killed by Doflamingo. The thing is, there was no time, obviously. Middle of a fight to the death, and the birdcage was still shrinking. Led by Gyatz the announcer, almost everyone on the island turned to stop or just slow down Doflamingo. It was completely useless though, as Doffy mowed them all down while searching for the weakened Luffy to finish him off. After getting distracted enough by the fighters who were killed off, might I add, very easily, Luffy had regained his haki and was instantaneously teleported right to Doflamingo by Law and managed to save a life while he was at it. Unfortunately, 10 minutes was just barely enough and Luffy was still weakened. Doflamingo used this chance to punish him. I'm talking beatings. He used his string as a spear, even puppeteered him. But Luffy managed to reactivate his Gear 4 and both fighters prepared their final attacks. Luffy, realizing his Kong gun wasn't strong enough, further inflated his hand, pushing his haki to the extreme to create a massive King Kong gun, which was quite a bit stronger than Doflamingo's spiderweb and 16 God Threads attack. He broke through the super strong strings and a few of Doflamingo's bones while he was at it, excavating the landscape landscape with Doflamingo's ragged body. Once again, the pirate king-to-be stood victorious. Following the events of Dressrosa, Doflamingo was stripped of his titles and incarcerated in level 6 of Impale Down. Only the worst for the worst. His decades of tyranny finally put to an end. The end. If you enjoyed that video, thanks for sticking around to the end. Like and subscribe, do all the YouTube things. Comment down below if Doflamingo is also one of your favorite bad guys ever. And check out our other videos. We're gonna make a lot more of these, okay? See you later.